Hi, I'm Stacy Forrester and welcome to our online course in visual storytelling. I'm excited that you're here. Uh, Sometimes you'll hear what we're going to be doing called data visualization, but I'm a big believer in storytelling and finding the story behind numbers and data, and so that's really going to be at the heart of what we do this semester. And so as part of that, we're going to be spending some time taking apart examples of visual storytelling that we find out in the world and looking at what works and what doesn't, but we're also going to spend a lot of time creating our own examples of visual storytelling. And the reason that we need to think about doing this is that every day more and more data are being created, and there's just almost too much out there for us to really make sense of, and so we have to do that for our audiences. So we're going to look for trends and patterns and stories in those numbers to try to make sense of something bigger. So here's one of my favorite examples. We'll probably spend more time talking about this, but it's about the Malaysia flight 370 that went missing a year or so ago. And this infographic called The Depth of the Problem shows just how hard it was going to be for searchers to find any debris that might be at the bottom of the ocean. So they just are taking us farther and farther down to show us really how far that ocean bottom was from the surface. So, a little bit more about me. I am in my fourth year of teaching here in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at UW-Madison. I came here from about 12 years working in the field. I worked for the University of Wisconsin, actually doing public relations work and helping tell the story of the university and what it does for the state and the world. And I also, before that, I spent 6 years as a state capitol reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I spent a lot more time in journalism than in PR, but I covered state politics, state government. Anything really happening in Madison was part of our bureau's responsibility. Before that, I spent 4 years in New York as a reporter for the Wall Street Journal's website. I was a general assignment reporter, and some of the work that I did was reporting for some of the website's earliest interactive graphics on things like the housing market across the country or presidential healthcare proposals. A little bit more about me. I live in Waunakee, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Madison. I live with my husband and our 2 kids who are 7 and 4. And so between my work at the university and my home life, I stay very busy. But one thing I do make time for is running, and it really helps me to clear my head and think. And so I spend a lot of time each week running, and one of my goals for the summer was to bring down my 5K time, which I did. I managed to win my age group in 2 races this summer, and I did that with an app on my phone called Runkeeper. And every time I go out, I'm up to 508 miles on Runkeeper. It tracks where I run, how far I go, what my average pace is, and other key stats about my run, which is pretty cool for me. But what I didn't think about was that every time I run, I'm creating some new data that Runkeeper is keeping kind of on a bigger scale. And so here's what someone did with all of that data. They took it and they mapped the most common running routes in major cities. So here, using Runkeeper data from New York, they found that people there generally like to run along the water and around parks, like this one where I used to run when I lived there. And in my hometown of Minneapolis, again, people preferred to run along the water, around lakes, and rivers there. So it was a way of using data that was already being collected to tell a bigger story. That's a perfect example of what we're going to be looking at doing this semester. So as your first assignment, here's what I want you to do. Create your own 2 to 3 minute video introducing yourself to all of us. And as part of your video, I want you to talk about one way that you're creating data every day that is part of a bigger story. So I look forward to learning more about you and working with you this semester. Welcome.